Blog Talk Radio.
Welcome to Family Law Talk.
Family Law Talk.
Presented by Kirk Stange of Stange Law Firm, PC. With offices in the Midwest. Stange Law Firm is a family law firm. Now, here's your host, Kirk Stange.
Welcome to Family Law Talk. We have an interesting topic today. The topic is Missouri Equal Parenting Bill moving forward. And so there's some really interesting legislation in Missouri, which is in the process of being debated in the Missouri Senate as things stand here now. And it's definitely going to be interesting to see if this bill becomes law in Missouri. If it does, it will really mark a significant change in terms of how child custody cases are litigated in the state of Missouri. And so let me give you all just a little bit of background. In 2016, there was a bill known as House Bill 1550, which went into effect in Missouri, and that did a lot of really interesting things. But a few of the interesting components are this, which is one, it indicated that courts aren't allowed to make custody decisions based on sex. In other words, courts can't look at the sex of the parents, in other words, favor mothers over fathers in a lot of ways, I think is the intent, and then give them more custody time. Two, it also had this language that talked about maximizing to the highest degree possible the amount of time each parent gets to spend with the children. So a big move towards shared parenting, which means that both parents are supposed to have significant amounts of time, a lot of time, if you will, but it didn't denote the exact amount of time, and it certainly fell short of saying 50-50 as some sort of presumption in the state of Missouri. But nonetheless, moved the needle towards shared parenting. It also eliminated the ability of local courts to create their own specific parenting plans. There was a viewpoint in Missouri that in a lot of courts there were these parenting plans on shelves that lots of attorneys would just pull off and use in custody cases. And these parenting plans were based on this case in Missouri that came out long ago called Siegenthaler versus Siegenthaler, and it denoted this sort of default custody schedule, if you will, which was basically every other weekend, night during the week, half the holidays, and some time in the summer. And this would be the time the non-custodial parents would classically get in the state of Missouri. Well, this bill in 2016 eliminated local courts from having these parenting plans that, again, had Siegenthaler custody schedules in there as a default. Well, the debate about shared parenting continues in Missouri, and that's the heart of this new legislation that's out there. Last year, the legislation was given the denotion of House Bill 1667, and what this bill did at the end of the day was made equal parenting a rebuttable presumption. In other words, if this bill became law, courts would start every custody case with this idea that 50-50 custody is where the courts are going to start. And unless one of the parents can rebut the presumption, 50-50 custody would be the norm. Well, interestingly, this passed the Missouri House just sweepingly last year in 2017 by a vote of 137-7. So broad support from both political parties in terms of the passage of this bill. Now, ultimately, the bill got put in committee in the Missouri Senate, never came to a full vote. And with that, if you will, the vote didn't become law in 2017, and a lot of us as attorneys thought, well, maybe this issue has died. But having said that, the bill is resurrected this year in the Missouri Senate, and it's now known as Senate Bill 14. It passed out of committee on January 30th, 2019, so it came through the committee known as the Seniors, Families, and Children Committee, and it's been in the process of being perfected if you look this bill up online. And so ultimately it appears that this will come to a vote in the full Senate. Now, nobody knows for sure. Maybe there'll be some other procedural obstacles that come into play, and the bill never comes to a vote. But if it were to pass the Senate, if you will, then ultimately the bill would come back down to the House, and if the House were to re-vote on the bill, and pass it again, then it would go to the desk of the governor. And if the governor were to sign the bill, then this would become law in Missouri. In other words, a rebuttable presumption of 50-50 custody in every custody case in the state of Missouri. So it's definitely going to be interesting to follow whether or not this becomes a law in Missouri, or whether or not it somehow gets hit with some procedural roadblock that prevents it from becoming law. So definitely interesting to follow. Something I think that family law attorneys really keenly have their eyes on and are looking at right now to see if this bill becomes law or not. And just to give you all a little bit more backdrop in terms of sort of the rationale behind this bill in a lot of ways, and give you sort of the argument for the folks who are for this type of legislation and this specific piece of legislation, and then give you the argument from the other side that is not for this legislation, and then you all decide for yourself what you think. But sort of historically, the viewpoint was that kids did better in one home predominantly, in that versus living in a suitcase and going back and forth, it would be sort of the stability if kids predominantly lived in one home and then visited the other parent. And then there were also a lot of those psychologists, if you will, who had research out there, and the research in a lot of ways was based on this belief that fathers really don't want the custody time, that they, at the end of the day, want lower child support, and that they seek 50-50 custody or joint custody as a means to really lower their child support obligation. But even if they're given this time, then they won't end up exercising it. So this is the argument for folks historically are sort of against this, that the kids should be in one home, the fathers are really trying to lower their child support, and that they're not going to exercise the time anyway. The research on the other side, which is really sort of taken hold nationwide, and you see this movement toward shared parenting nationwide, which is the opposite of this, which is that no, fathers will exercise this custody time if given to them, and it really takes away this winner-take-all system, which is what is the case right now in a lot of states in their mind, where one parent gets the majority of the time. So one parent basically wins, the other parent loses, oftentimes the father, and when that is the case, that father ultimately checks out, falls behind in child support. Maybe there's just increased fighting and litigation between the mom and the dad. The dad's coming back to court. The mom's coming back to court on modifications, on contempt actions involving custody, involving child support, and that it really just increases the animosity between the parents. And so what the new research sort of shows is that if you give both parents roughly equal time, then there's really not an incentive to fight. There's not an incentive to litigate, because the courts are going to give both parents roughly the same amount of time anyway. And so shared parenting actually better, because when the parents aren't fighting, when the parents aren't continuing to litigate for years, the kids actually fare better. So that's sort of your debate amongst psychologists, amongst research folks who look at whether shared parenting is good, whether it's bad. There's no question, though, that if you look across the states, more and more states considering shared parenting legislation. Certainly in Missouri with the 2016 bill, Missouri moved in the direction of shared parenting. And now if this new bill were to become law, Missouri would really be out there in terms of embracing shared parenting. And it'll definitely be interesting to follow. So again, the bill is Senate Bill 14. You can definitely Google that online, read it, check it out. Again, the idea is that shared parenting would become a rebuttable presumption, and specifically 50-50 custody. And certainly if the facts necessitated something different, if the presumption, if you will, could be rebutted, the court could do something different. But it would really mark a significant change in Missouri. It'll definitely be interesting to follow, and nobody knows for sure what's going to happen, because there can be a lot of procedural moves that come into play while this litigation is being debated in the Missouri Senate, and then if it goes back to the Missouri House. But certainly, if you're looking at it from afar, from the distance, it seems like there's a reasonable probability that this bill may become law in the state of Missouri, and if it does, it would be a big, big change. So again, that's the topic. To read more on this topic, you can go over to our blog, familylawheadquarters.com. We've got an article titled Missouri Equal Parenting Bill on the Doorsteps. So you can definitely read that as a follow-up to the episode today. Well, thanks for tuning in. That's the topic. We'll see you next time on Family Law Talk. Thank you very much.
Thank you for listening to Family Law Talk with Kirk Stange. Visit StangeLawFirm.com for more about today's topic or to put Stange Law Firm to work for your family today. The choice of a lawyer is an important decision that should not be based solely upon advertisements. Neither the Supreme Court of Missouri or Illinois reviews or approves certifying organizations or specialist designations. The information you obtain on this podcast is not, nor is it intended to be legal advice. You should contact an attorney for advice regarding your individual situation. We invite you to contact us and welcome your calls, letters, and electronic mail. Contacting us does not create an attorney-client relationship. Please do not send any confidential information to us until such time as an attorney-client relationship has been established. And finally, past results afford no guarantee of future results, and every case is different and must be judged on its own merits.
Kirk Stange is responsible for the content. Principal place of business, 120 South Central Avenue, Suite 450, Clayton, Missouri, 63105.
Capture life's moments like never before with Rockbrook Camera, Nebraska and Western Iowa's premier camera store since 1975. Rockbrook Camera is not just about selling you a camera. It's about helping you become a real photographer, recording your life and sharing it with others. Today's cameras are faster, easier to use, capable of shooting stunning video, and with film photography making a comeback, there's never been a better time to dive into the world of photography. Rockbrook Camera goes as fast or as slow as you want to go. You can try before you buy with camera rentals, or give that older generation camera in the used department a whole new journey. Find Rockbrook Camera, 1 block south of 168th and West Center in Omaha, 70th and Pioneers in Lincoln, and at rockbrookcamera.com. That's rockbrookcamera.com. Discover or rediscover your love of photography today at Rockbrook Camera. Great photography begins here.
What's the easiest choice you can make? Window instead of middle seat? Picking a vendor who sends a great gift basket? Outsourcing business tasks you hate? What about selling with Shopify? Whether you're selling a little or a lot, Shopify helps you do your thing, however you cha-ching. Shopify is the global commerce platform that helps you sell at every stage of your business. From the launch your online shop stage to the first real-life store stage, all the way to the did we just hit 1 million orders stage. Shopify's there to help you grow. Whether you're selling scented soap or offering outdoor outfits, Shopify helps you sell. Wherever and whatever you're selling, Shopify's got you covered. Sign up for a $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/try. Go to shopify.com/try now to grow your business, no matter what stage you're in. Shopify.com/try.